we have been going through some of the tools in AutoCAD. In this video also, we are going to get familiarized with one such tool, which is known as layer. I think some of you who are used to some photo editing softwares like Photoshop, etc., you might know that there also you use layer. The same use is there in AutoCAD also. That is, for example, this is a drawing. This drawing has various components, in the sense that you have the object line, you have the center line, which indicates the axis or the center line of a cylindrical shape. Then you have the dimension. Then in this particular drawing, this is basically a sectional drawing. So what here it is given is the sectional front view or the sectional elevation. As we have seen, sections is indicated by hatched lines. So hatch is another component of this drawing. So there are various components to a drawing. Now, for example, if I want to see only if I want to remove the dimension, okay, if I want to see the drawing without the dimension, what will you do? Usually what you do is you delete all the dimension and then you get a drawing without the dimension. But if you use layer to draw or to make the drawing, and if you create a dimension as a layer, then what you can do is you can switch off that particular layer, or if you switch off that particular layer, then that particular layer will not be seen. Understood? So what I have done is I have created different layers. That is, the object line is one layer, the center line is another layer, the dimension is another layer, the third layer, the hatch is the fourth layer, then this section indicating the section or the text is the fifth layer. Okay, so I have created in such a way. So if I don't want to see the dimension, what I do is I go to this pull down menu and switch off the dimension. Okay, I turn off the dimension layer. Okay, so what I see now is the drawing without dimension. Okay, similarly, if I don't want the hatch, okay, so what I do is you can turn off as many layers as you want. Okay, not that you can turn off only one, you can turn off as many layers as you want. Okay, for example, now what I do is I am going to turn on dimension and I am going to turn off hatch. Okay, so now you can see what you are seeing is the drawing without the hatch. The advantage is if you want to take the printout, and if you want to take a printout without the dimension, then what you can do is you can switch off the dimension layer and take the printout. Okay, so today I'll just show you how to create a drawing with layer. Okay, and from now onwards, whatever drawing you make should be made with the use of layer. Layer can be incorporated in two different ways. Either what you can do is when you make the drawing, or when you are in the process of making the drawing, that is, first you are going to create the object line, right? So that object line can be incorporated as one layer. Okay, so first you create a layer as object, for example, and incorporate the object lines that you make in that layer. And then once you finish the object line, if you are going to introduce the center line, then you create a layer as center line and then incorporate the center line in that particular layer, and then the dimension, like that. So simultaneously, along with the drawing, the way in which you make the drawing, simultaneously you can add each component in that particular layer. Or otherwise, what you can do is, which is, this second method is much more easier for you. What you can do is, you don't bother about layer in the beginning of the drawing. Okay, you draw the you make the drawing. Okay, you make the hatch, you give the dimension, everything you make, you finish the drawing without considering layer. Okay, and finally, after you finish the drawing, we can create each layer one by one and then incorporate each component into the respective layers. That will be much more easier. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to demonstrate the second case. Okay, where I'm going to complete, I have finished the drawing. Okay, this is the drawing I have completed without considering the layer, without incorporating the layer. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create each layer and then incorporate each component in this drawing to that particular layer. I have now completed the drawing without using layer. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create all the layers first and then incorporate each component of the drawing to that particular, to the respective layer. To create the layer, first the command is layer, L-A-Y-E-R. Okay, enter. This pop-up window will appear. These are the two default layers. These are the two layers which cannot be deleted. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create new layers. Okay. The first layer I'm going to create is for the object line. What you do is, you right click and then you create a layer. You select new layer. You can rename the layer. By default, the layer will come as layer 1. Okay. You can rename the layer as object. Okay. Object. Now what you can do is, you can change the color of the layer. By default, the color is white. So you can change it to, let's say, yellow. Okay. And you can change the line type. Line type, as you know, for an object line, it is a continuous line. Okay, so you don't have to change the line type. Okay, it is continuous by default. And then you have something known as line weight. Okay, line weight is usually visible in the case of when you take the printout. So when you just make the soft copy, you don't consider line weight. Okay, you can keep it in the default setting. Okay, usually the color and the line type are the parameters that you change in a particular layer. So I have created the object layer. Now I'm going to create a second layer, but actually here in the order it is the fourth layer. Okay, I'm going to create the next layer. Let's say dimension. Okay, so again new layer, dimension. We will change the color. Okay, let's say green. Okay, green. Okay, and the line type is continuous. Now I am going to create a layer for center line. Okay, so select a new layer. I give the name as center. As you know, center line, the color I am going to change. Let's say I will keep it as red. And we know that the center line usually is used to indicate the axis of a cylindrical component. And we know that in the engineering drawing you might have learned that center line is indicated by discontinuous line. Okay. So what you can do is you go into line type, you select the line type. By default the line type is continuous. You just click on or select the continuous option. Once you click or once you select that particular option, then this pop-up window will come. Select line type. Okay. Usually by default you will see only continuous. Since I had previously taken the center line, the center line option is coming. Okay, is visible in my window. In your window, the center line, center to option will not be available. Okay, only continuous option is available. To take the center option, what you can do is there is an option below the pop-up window which is load. You select that, and then you just come down. Just scroll down. You can see there are different line types, right? In the set of line types, you select any of the center line. Okay, like you have 3 different center lines: center, center 2, center x2, etc. I'm going to select center 2. Okay, I select center 2 and then select OK. Okay. So once you select center 2, then that particular line type will come in this particular window. You select center 2 in that window and select OK. Okay. So now you can see that line type has come in that particular layer. Similarly, I am going to create the next layer which is hatch. I'm going to change the color to, let's say, magenta. It can be, the line type can be continuous. Okay, so by default it is coming as center 2, so you change it to continuous. And then I'll also create another, the final layer which is the section, indicating the section text. So I have named it as section, and color I'm going to give it as blue. Okay, and line type, let it be continuous. Okay, so I have created all the layers. Now what I have to do is I have to incorporate each component of that drawing to that particular layer. Okay, so right now we can close this window. We have now created all the layers. Now each component of the drawing has to be assigned to the respective layers. For example, the object line has to be assigned to the object layer. Dimension has to be assigned to the dimension layer. Okay, hatch has to be assigned to the hatch layer. So I will show you how to assign the layer. Okay, for example, I am going to assign this object line to the object layer. There are 2 methods of doing it. One is you select all the object layers. Okay, you select all the object layers. Sorry, object line. And then you have to assign it to the object layer. to assign to object layer, what you have to do is at the top of the screen you have this pull down menu, which is the layer menu. You select the pull down menu, then you will see all the layers which are created. So in this you select object. So you can see those lines have been assigned to the object layer. Okay. Another method of assigning layer is, if you have already assigned some of the components to a particular layer, if you want to add some of other components to the same layer, then you can use something known as match property. Okay. So what you do is you type match property. It will ask you to specify the source object. So this is the source object, and I am going to assign it to the other object lines. Okay. Okay. So what happened is all the other object lines are also being assigned to the object layer. Similarly, you have to do it for the elevation, sectional elevation also. Okay. One of the simplest method is, first you assign layers to the respective layers to those components which are less in number. For example, hatch, dimension. Okay. So once you assign dimensions to dimension layer, and then what you can do is you can switch off that layer, then the dimension will not be visible. Then it will be easier for you to assign the other components to the respective layers. Okay. To assign the dimension to dimension layer, you select one particular dimension and select the pull down menu, and then assign the dimension layer to that particular dimension. And now what you can do is similar like before, you can use the match property option. Select the source object and then select the destination object. Now all the dimension will be assigned to the dimension layer. Only regarding the hatch, there is a small change in the way in which the layer has to be assigned. First you apply the hatch, and then you select the hatch, and then select the property, right click and select the property, the hatch property. In the hatch property, you can see the layer option. In the general option, there is layer. By default the layer is 0. You change it to the hatch layer. Okay. So only in hatch, if you want to change the layer of the hatch, you have to do in this way, because the other way it will not be possible, because when you select the hatch, then the hatch edit will be activated. Okay. So in this way you will not be able to change the hatch, change the layer. Okay. So only in hatch, if you want to change the layer, you have to do in the way I have shown. Now to assign the layer to center line, you select center line. You can select the center layer. So that particular line is assigned to the center layer. Sometimes for some of you, you will not be able to see the gap between the line. Okay. So then what you do is you go to the property of that center line, and then in the property there is an option known as line type scale. Okay. By default the scale is some 0.1 or something like that. you can change it to 10 or 20. You can, when you increase the scale, the gap between the adjacent lines will change. Okay, so that you can do. And once you do that, then you can give the match property option and assign the match property to the other center lines. Okay. And finally, you can assign the center line, assign the layer to this line also, which we have assigned as section. Select that and then give section. Okay. This is what you will finally get once you assign layer. You can just switch off each layer and see what is happening. Like you can switch off dimension layer, then you can see the dimensions are removed from the drawing. Like, now one more thing, you can see here this section, this AA indicates that indicates the section line, the location of the section line. Now how to draw that line? To draw that line, you can use a type of line option which is known as P line. Okay, you type PL, type PL. It is P line means polyline. Polyline is also a type of a line. So when you, as you know, to draw a line, you need to specify the start point and the end point. So when you activate the polyline command, it is asking for a start line. You specify the start line, and what you can do is you can increase the width of the line. Okay, if you want. For that, you need to specify the width option. You type W. It is asking for the starting width at the starting. Let's say I'm going to give the width as 2. Okay, 2, and it is asking for the ending width. Ending width also, if I am typing 2, you can see, and I'm going to give a distance. Either you can give a distance, or otherwise you can specify the next point somewhere towards the right. Okay, let's say I'm going to give the distance as 100. Enter. So you can see that the line is a thicker line of thickness 2 units. Okay. Now if you want to add an arrowhead at the end of the that line, then what you can do is you can again go to width option. You type width W. The starting width we can specify, let's say some 4. Okay, 4, and ending width for an arrow, what is the ending width? Ending width is 0, right? You type 0 and enter, and now you can give the distance of the arrow. Okay, let's say some 10 we will give. Okay, enter. So now you can see here the arrow. So that is how you create this line using polyline, P line, where you can also create an arrowhead by specifying the width. Okay, the starting width and the ending width.